Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're still awake and the coffee brought some energy and the tea. First of all, Feroz and the team, Sridhar, everyone, thank you very much for having me and giving me an opportunity to share some of the experiences that I was lucky to have in my life. Sometimes you're at the right place at the right time. And I was lucky that in 1997, I was in Tibet, in Lhasa. And that's where I met Sabriye ten Berken. And Sabriye is from Germany. And she was traveling by herself. And Sabriye is blind. And I was like, what is a blind woman doing in Tibet? Because enjoying the view is not one of the things that I could imagine. So I asked her, and she said, well, it was a long story. So we sat down, and she told me the story. She said that she was diagnosed with RP when she was about 4 years old. But the parents didn't tell her that she was going to go blind. And that was a good decision. They took Sabriye traveling, they let her paint, they let her take a lot of pictures. So they filled her hard disk with images and videos that she could use later when she was going to go blind. Sabriye very quickly understood that she was different from other people. And the fact, you see, we normal people, we have a problem. We have a disability by not knowing how to deal with people that are different. And still today, when I travel with Sabriye, people come up to me and they ask me, is she hungry? And I say to Sabriye, who is next to me, I said, are you hungry? And she says, no, but she can speak. So I say, no, she's not hungry, but she can speak. And then again they say to me, can you say to her? And I said, no, I can't. So these are things that happen, but what was worse when Sabriye became blind, slowly she became blind, she was treated differently, and kids are very, very mean. So children would say, her classmates, oh, you can walk straight, and she would fall down the stairs. They would say, well, you're lucky that you cannot see that well because you don't have to see yourself in the mirror because you're so ugly. So this is very, very tough as a young child. And she was also discriminated in a positive way, which she also didn't understand what was happening because she got the biggest piece of cake. And she didn't know why. She was allowed first in the class, first out. She didn't know why. So at one point she met a girl, and this girl said, well, I'm blind. And then Sabriye said, well, if she's blind, then maybe I'm blind too. So she said to her parents, let's go and see the doctor. So they went to see the doctor, and the doctor said, he checked her, and then he said, well, sorry, please sit down. I've got bad news. You are blind. And I met the doctor later, and he said to me, he saw something very unusual because Sabriye jumped up and she said, hurrah, blind, not stupid. Because everybody was treating her like she was stupid. So at that point, Sabriye said, okay, I want to learn, and I want to go to a special school because they take blind people and they take us serious. In that school in Marburg in Germany, she learned downhill skiing, downhill whitewater kayaking. Whitewater kayaking is a very big thing. She did horseback riding, a lot of stuff that sighted people don't do. So what was the difference was that at this school, they were looking at her ability and not the disability. So Sabriye at some point, and this is a problem that everybody faces that has a so-called handicap, is that other people know what you can and mostly what you cannot do. So Sabriye, she said, they went to an exhibition on Tibet, and she said, is there something that I can study? And they said, well, there is Tibetology at a university in Bonn, but because you're blind, forget about it. So Sabriye forgot about it, and later on, well, she happened to do the study because she developed a Tibetan Braille script. So she needed it for her study, so she developed it. So she was basically forced. This was seen by a Tibetan scholar. He took the script to Tibet, and there's many blind people in Tibet. And he said, well, who can come and teach our blind students? And he said, well, ask Sabriye, she will come immediately. And they said, no, that's not possible. She's blind and she's a woman. That's not going to work. So Sabria had to show that it is possible, and this was in 1997 when she took off alone to Tibet. She went on horseback, she found a few local people, and she found blind kids that were locked away in dark rooms. Because in Tibet, it's believed that if you have done something wrong in your past life, that you're punished now by being blind or handicapped. Some people believe that their children are possessed by demons, so they don't even touch their children. And then she met one boy, and this boy had a smile on his face, and he said, "Oh, you are blind, I'm blind too." And Sabria said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Well, I'm the yak herder." So he herds the yaks in the village. And this is what it's all about, and not just for blind people. This counts for everyone. This boy had a task, so he has value. Because of his value, he was respected. Because he was respected, he had dignity. And because he had dignity, he developed self-confidence. And that's what we all need. So this inspired Sabria to start a school and a training center where it was not just about skills, but where it was about gaining self-confidence. To stand up, she said she wanted to start a place where we train people so that they can stand up in society, go back into society and say, "I'm blind, so what?" And this is exactly what happened. So we met in 1997. I was very lucky. And when we met, and this is, I want to talk because Sabria has, when she became blind, her father was reading a book to her, and it was the autobiography of Angela Davis. And Angela Davis is the lady that was fighting for the Black Power movement in the United States. And there were 3 words in this book that changed the life of millions of black people around the planet. Black is beautiful. And Sabria thought to herself, if that lady is capable of changing the concept, of transforming the concept of black being negative, of black being inferior, of black being something, that is looked down upon, into black is beautiful, then I must be able to change that for blindness. And I should look for the beauty of blindness. So if you think about your sighted life and you say, well, what is positive about being blind? Because Sabria said, I'm not going to look what I can do like other sighted people. I want to see what I can do better. So there's one thing, and that's the first thing that I noticed when we first met. Sabria was taking pictures. And as a blind person, you have to imagine everything. So when we first met, she took pictures, and she told me later that she likes black hair. And she was imagining me with black hair. She went home, the parents and friends asked, who is this blonde guy in your pictures? She said, I don't know. He must have ran in front of my camera. So half a year later we met, and then she said, Paul, you were there. Do you know who this blonde guy is? I said, well, it's me. Oh. So she was disappointed. But usually, blind people don't get disappointed by reality. And that's a big advantage. If you read a book and you go to see the movie in the cinema, most of the time you're disappointed because that's not the picture that you imagined. So what happened is Sabria called me up because about 8 months later after we first met. And because I said, okay, call me up, we'll do this project together. So she called me up, and I was at work, and she said, next week I'm leaving. And I said, okay, that's great. And then she said, well, we don't know each other that well. At least you can wish me luck. And I said, you know what, I'll join you. So the next day I quit my job, and we went to Tibet. This was in 1998 in May. That's when we had many, many challenges. One of the major challenges we met was that the new students that we brought in, that came from a locked away room, in a dark room, they came to us. They had no hope for their future. And we thought, what can we do to give them a better future? And we gave it a long thought. Because people say, why you're in it? Sabria is blind, that's obvious. I know, unfortunately, I know what it means to be excluded. I didn't have skin on my back from 11 till 17 for 6 years. I got wrong doctor's medication, and my skin, he said, in a week everything will be gone. Well, he was right. My red spots were gone, but my skin was gone. So during these 6 years, I couldn't wear white T-shirts because it was bleeding every day. And that was not the worst thing because it was painful. But people finding out, my classmates finding out, they came and then smacked me on the back. I became outcast because they didn't want to deal with me because how I looked. Sabria had the same experience. She was outcast. She was neglected. So we knew both we had this background, and we said, okay, listen, what can we do to have blind kids to be included? We started a dream factory. Dreaming is one of the most important things in life. And if people tell you not to, or that it's not, don't listen. It is. Everything we have today is here because somebody had it as a dream to start with. If I would have told you 50 years ago that we do this, and this, and this, right? So the thing is, we said, okay, we start a dream factory and we want these kids to decide what they want to do. And that's what it is about in life. You have to make a decision of what you want to do. We told our students, dream and don't listen to anybody else. You've got to work for 40 to 50 years. If you don't choose what you love doing, you have to work. And you become one of the thank God it's Friday people. You know them, right? We work day and night. For us, it doesn't matter because we love what we do. And I think that's where the biggest potential and progress can be, if you choose what it is that you want to do. We gave our kids 1 week to think about this. And there's little Norbu, he's 8 years old, has a big smile on his face, and he says, I want to become a taxi driver. If you look at the taxi drivers around the world, you think, perfect match. They're all bad. They're all blind. So we never say that something is not possible. That's why our project was named Braille Without Borders. These borders. 2 years later, we asked this boy, what about your dream? And then he said, well, now I realize the fact that I'm blind, maybe it's better I don't become a taxi driver. But I can set up a taxi company and run it. This boy is 10 years old. And that's not charity, that's empowerment. They learn to make decisions for their future. And that's very, very important. So we had a dream and we set up a preparatory school for blind people. We set up a vocational training farm with several vocations, baking bread, making cheese, compost production, animal husbandry, about 12 professions that were never done with blind people anywhere in the world. We set up a Braille printing press, and we set up a self-integration program where these students go into society and say to their neighbor in class, they say, you tell me what's on the blackboard and I help you with English. It took us 6 years because we had planned to do this in 4 years. It took us 6 years and the program was running. Everything was a reality. And then we thought, what can we do to make a bigger impact in the world? If we know there are 286 million blind and visually impaired people on our planet, 286 million, 9 out of 10 blind children are not going to school. Sabria was talking about the advantages of being blind. The first thing is focus. We sighted people, we are very bad at focus because we are distracted by Hollywood, Bollywood, and advertisement. Right? Blind people are forced to solve problems from morning till evening. So they become good problem solvers. Blind people, if they want to be heard, they have to speak up. They have to become good communicators. And they have to envision everything. Who needs these 4 qualities? Focus, problem-solving skills, communication skills, and vision. Leaders. So we leave out, with 286 million people that have all these capacities, if we don't include them, we leave out a great opportunity to solve problems not only for them, but for our world at large. So when we set up this program, we said, we zoomed back from our beautiful world and we saw a planet in crisis. And we saw that it's not only blindness. So we said, if you look at sustainable social change, it has always come from within. It was not the Westerners coming to places and tell them what they did wrong and that they knew better. That's not going to work. We need people from within a society that are fed up with the conditions, that stand up and say, and now stop. Now we've got to make a difference. That's called a Gandhi moment. So we said, we're going to start a center where we're going to bring in people that had a Gandhi moment and they're going to make a difference in the world. We work in south of India, in Trivandrum, and we work with people that have been affected by social ill. We work with albinos that are being, unfortunately in East Africa, they are killed, chopped in pieces, and their body parts are sold as good luck charms. We trained a few of them, they went back, they started to stop these killings. We have women fighting female circumcision in Africa. We've got ex-child soldiers that after the training they got at our place, they went back to Liberia and Sierra Leone to start training ex-child soldiers in skills other than killing people. So we work with the bottom of society, and we want to see that the return of investment that is now measured only in one dimension in our entire world, and that's money, that's going to be changed into a social impact. We can do better on our planet. We can do better. So we have to make sure that everybody has access to clean drinking water, access to food, access to health care, access to education, to elderly care, to a planet that is free of weapons of mass destruction, that is free of all these toxics that we are producing every day and put out in the environment. So we, in the last 5 years, in Kerala, in the south of India, in Trivandrum, we trained 98 participants from 35 countries. They already started 65 social projects around the world, and they reached 10,000 of beneficiaries. I want to share one small story, and we have a small video clip here. It's about Pinoy. Pinoy Tang is from Meghalaya. Father drank himself to death. Mom has 7 children. She makes $80 a day. They survive. They have nothing. They sleep on the naked floor. Pinoy came to us and we celebrated her 24th birthday with a piece of cake and a small candle. She blew out the candle and she started crying, and I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "It's the first time in my life that my birthday is being celebrated." She had M&Ms, and we said, "How did you get them?" And she said, "Well, in a care package for poor people." And she said, and I said, "When?" 1.5 years ago with Christmas, I take 1 a month. Pinoy went back to Meghalaya. She became partially sighted because a medicine man put some acid in her eye. And what I want to share with you is a small clip that shows Pinoy in action.
My father have killed a tiger which is 12 feet. That area, there is no more animals, there is no more jungle. Oh, this is the village where I grew up. And when I was small, I dropped from the school later on because I have a problem with low vision. And my mom also, like, she cannot support me anymore. I just keep on crying all the time at home. I asked my mom, like, "Please send me to school, I want to study." I get a chance to go to the villages, visiting the people in the village who is having difficulties, like a person with disability in different area. Like nobody helped them. I just feel that I would just want to do something, but I don't know what to do. We come across Kanthari. Kanthari is a place where I finish another area of my study where I really love that place and I really get confident, and I develop my dreams. go to the field, go for home base, teach the child according to the need. We spread the project through the CBR approach, advocacy, a mental health program, formation of DPO organization.
My name is Daniel. I'm coming from the Mulong. So I have 3 jobs. Can bamboo.
Can we fix that? Okay, I can maybe tell you what is coming. The next girl is going to be shown is Abrila. And Abrila is a person with dislocated hips. And when Abrila tells her story, she says exactly the same what Pinoy said. Nobody trusted in me. Nobody was able to give me an opportunity. And that's when Pinoy came. Pinoy gave me this opportunity, and she started a bakery. And in the clip, you could see, our clip is online on our website. And you can see that she started her own bakery, and she was empowered. And this is what we try to do. We try to find people that know what's wrong within their community. They stand up, they find solutions, they train people, and they're going to make sure that many, many people in their surrounding benefit. I want to have two last things. One is about inclusion, and with the word disability. In this forum, we have discussed about disability. I think, and it's obvious that we talk about people with disabilities that we see, that we notice directly. I do feel that we leave out a large group of people that way, that are also disabled. If you're a woman who was raped, you are disabled for the rest of your life. If you are living under the poverty line, you are disabled. So I think if we look at a different term, I think it's marginalized. If we look at the marginalized communities, because many, many poor people need to be included into our society. I would like to ask you for one request, and then I'll stop. This is a flyer that is on our website. It's on kanthari.org under brochures, media, brochures. If you know anyone that carries a plan for social change, that needs training, the training is free. The only thing they have to do to pay the trip down to Trivandrum. 7.5 months training, and then afterwards they're empowered to start their own social project. I hope that you can download this printer, just print it and stick it in your office, because then a lot of people see it. We have large problems or challenges to find Indian participants. We get loads from Africa, from Asia, but not India. So if you can help us with that, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for listening, for your attention.
Thank you, Paul. And I'd like to welcome Anka Witzberg. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. To please present a memento to Paul. I would like to call a very special